Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Femme Flex Friday. Today I'm here with my co-host Linda Marie, and we have a very, very special story. I have here in the house a power woman, and that's very dear to my heart because this special power woman comes from Eastern Europe. She emigrated just like I did in the United States. Back in the day, we have Viktoria Grygorian. Viktoria, welcome to our studio.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much for
welcome.
having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's so beautiful to have you here, and I have met Viktoria last year, and I have been very inspired by her story, and that's why I decided to bring her over and share this beautiful story with you. Viktoria, when and where, what were the circumstances when you left Ukraine? You are from Ukraine, and how long ago was that? So just like place us in a context back in the day and what brought you here.
Back in the day, 2006, I was working as a psychologist at a child orphanage, aside from my full-time as a physician, and I contracted a chickenpox. And at that time, I was going through some rough relationship situation, and I think all that together, the fever, the emotions, everything made me think about what am I doing with life, where I'm going, what are the opportunities in my home countries, and where do I see myself in the future. And I had an opportunity to travel to US for 1 year as a nanny, which was relatable to me, taking care of kids. It was because I was pursuing psychology. It was interesting, and just being in America is everybody's dream. And for me to use the opportunity, I decided to take it and just take a break from everything back home. And
Did you have this dream? Like I remember back in the day, I was like, United States was the goal to go, right? And it was very hard to go because it's very hard to immigrate in the United States, right? But there was like kind of like the golden country that's unattainable or attainable to the very few lucky ones. So even as I was young, I was like, maybe one day I'll make it there. Did you have this kind of vision, or is it just dawned on you at that moment when you contracted the chickenpox?
it was just an opportunity. I've never imagined myself living here. Never. I kind of felt that Ukraine at that particular moment, because of the influence of Soviet Union, was still kind of heavy. It wasn't as open and free as it now. The mindset, I didn't feel like I belong or fit in, because I had a little bit different mindset. Growing up in a military family, we lived in Germany for 6 years.
Okay.
It allowed us to explore something bigger, and so once being exposed, it's like once you give a sugar to a child, you know they already know what it is. But I never had an opportunity, never had any friends that lived here, or it was just a opportunity. At a cutoff age of 25, 26, it was the last chance for me to come, and I just took the advantage of an opportunity.
Well, your English is really great, so it seems like you had a plan to be here.
Were you speaking English before?
How did
No.
you just, because the Russian, Ukrainian, Romanian, you guys don't use the alphabet, correct?
Yes.
So, that's a major transition.
It's not like,
it's very different from going from French to English. So,
in Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, the primary language was Russian. So that's what we all grew up on. Depending on which country within Soviet Union you live in, you have your own language. For example,
dialect.
Not even dialect, but actual language. Real language.
Okay.
For example, my dad is from Armenia, so they had Armenian language, which is you can't even understand what it like. The letters are totally different.
We don't understand Russian either.
So everybody spoke Russian. That was part of Soviet Union. It was a primary language, and then it was language of your country. It's almost like states within Soviet Union. So we spoke Ukrainian, Russian. English became an addition post after Soviet Union fell apart.
Right.
But it was so
So then that
minimal.
So that was in the 90s, right?
91.
In 91,
After
because I was
91.
in Russia and I remember that experience, you know. So then you started speaking English at what point?
It was
How old were
very,
you?
very minimal and basic, and it was when it was in my 20s, where we didn't really know why we need to speak English.
Yeah, that's what I'm really
Yeah.
curious about. It's like-
Because the doors were open, the opportunities were open. We were seeing more Americans in Ukraine,
I see.
experiencing the culture, the history.
But not only that, but you got the taste of freedom in Germany. Like, you know, I remember even in Romania, we had that the energy, the atmosphere that was in the country was everything controlled, everything closed. Everything that was coming from the Western countries was decadent, was evil. This is what was the propaganda in the country. So then you go out there and you actually realize it's not that evil at all. You have the freedom to think and to speak, which is beautiful.
And to wear something else other than traditional uniforms,
Yeah.
because in Soviet Union everyone was wearing the same thing, eating the same thing, and you know you were just a prototype of somebody's imagination. It was just you know, you do what you're told to do, and it was just once when we moved from Germany, we brought with us clothes that no one's
yes.
seen before, jeans.
They were so precious.
Tracksuits. When we would go outside, people would look at us because we
stand out.
no one had it before.
And that you pointed that out to me as well, Alina, that, you know, every time when I'm over in Romania, over that part of the country, the world, that you guys were not allowed to be different. Different wasn't like the thing.
Oh yeah,
right?
no,
You
definitely.
guys are
you
all
didn't want to stand out.
Yeah,
Nope.
so now you're over there with different clothes and
Yeah.
We were always different, and different, just like Alina said. When you live in a society when everything is the same, is a prototype, and when you become different, the first instinct is to eliminate different,
Yes.
because it's a threat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It represents
Right, it's a
threat of
threat.
it represents the informational opportunity. And the information is freedom.
Yes, I
and
agree.
when freedom, there's a rebellion. So that rebellion, nobody wants to have people that are rebellion, because they can deliver that freedom to others.
To others, it's infectious.
And lead them. It's
That's
infectious.
Right. But let's fast forward. So you moved, you are already in the United States. You came here in the last moments in the cutoff day, age 26, as a nanny, right? So you got in the United States. What was the first impression when you got here?
Wow. I'm in Times Square in America at 4 a.m. in the morning. And actually, I was in the Central Park. I remember I walked outside in the Central Park. I just did 360, and all I could think about was a Home Alone movie. How he got lost in the Central Park, and I remember it was March 13, 2006. And I saw the CNN, I saw all the buildings, and I just started crying because I could not believe that I'm standing right there. It was just very surreal for me. And I was asking myself, like, what am I doing here? But it just feels so, I felt home. I felt home.
Even if you came with nothing, you were all by yourself. There was no family with you. You were like one person from one part of the world, came here. And how did your life unfold from there? So you were a nanny for how long?
2 years. The family that I used to work with, they were very, very nice, and we got along well. They extended my stay for 2 years. They sponsored me for student visa. And during that time, I met somebody who had a business, a healthcare business. And the owner found out that I was in healthcare back
That's
home.
right.
And again, I didn't know what am I gonna do, how I'm gonna make it here. I just knew deep inside, my gut feeling was telling me that I have to make it here at any cost, because I wanted my family to experience the freedom, the opportunity, the acceptance. I felt I'm accepted here. I felt that that I'm being unique, but it's that uniqueness that accepted versus trying to be eliminated or bullied or not accepted like it was back home. That gave me that sense of freedom. I was like, maybe I wasn't crazy back home. maybe there is something more out here. And I got an opportunity to be trained for a medical sonography, just doing ultrasound, which was very easy for me because back home, ultrasound is actually a part of something that doctors do.
Okay.
And I was granted with the work visa, and after that was the green card.
This is so beautiful. You know how hard it is to actually succeed in those fields here in the United States. Immigration is extremely difficult.
It was very difficult.
You had everything lined up for you, like
it
just
was
beautiful.
Extremely
it was
difficult.
so smooth, as if it was meant to be.
It was, looking back, things fell in place, but going from a place to place was extremely difficult and challenging. There was a lot of lawyers, there was a lot of hard work, there was 2-3 jobs, trying to make it, being a student, studying, working full time, and then working extra. Because there's no one to rely to. There's nothing. There's not like I can go to my parents' house.
Right, because you were alone.
Alone.
You were alone.
Alone.
Wow. So do you have siblings? You have
my sister. She's 6 years younger, and I was able to invite her as a tourist. And then she ended up following my path.
That was the next question.
But she speaks 4 languages. So for her, it was just she speaks Spanish, fluent Spanish.
So then you started working in healthcare, doing ultrasounds and taking care of yourself and expanding, right? How was the relationship status in this time? Did you meet somebody? Did you get married?
When I came and I was studying English at church, I met somebody who was actually from the same program, and we connected, and it was very relatable because we both were immigrants. So we kind of helped each other to grow to a certain degree in this country. It was we had a great relationship. We had there was understanding, and also it was not so difficult with the language because the language was so basic. It was comfortable. It was comforting. It was safe, and we just helped each other grow. Until I just started growing too fast, where it was just you either grow together or you grow apart.
Yes, that's what they say.
And that's what unfortunately happens when one person wants to grow, another person doesn't. Separately, but then you also have to grow together to be able to maintain a relationship.
So I really want to hear what the next steps were, but only after this short commercial break.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
Back in the studio with Viktoria Grygorian. Viktoria, what were your next steps in this amazing and thrilling adventure in the United States?
U.S. military has always been a soft spot. Not just U.S., but military in general. Seeing women in the uniform serving, it's not something was very common back home. Growing up with the father that served 30 years in the military, the principles, the soldier's creed, the lifestyle was very familiar to me, and every time I would see somebody in uniform, I get little butterflies. And I did request that information about joining military prior before some years ago, but you needed to have a green card or citizenship. So
Yeah.
it
But
wasn't.
why did you wanted to join the military in United States, of United States in particular?
I wanted to give back
Oh,
to
so you
the
wanted
country
at a place
that-
of happiness
yes,
and
that
So
gave me
that's
an
just-
opportunity.
That's so interesting to me, just your allegiance. You come from one country, and then it was easy for you to just join the military in the United States, as far as like, because there's so much that they require as far as
Yes.
your allegiance, you know. So what's that? Explain how that happens, because I didn't know that you could be, you know, born and raised in one country and then come over to the United States and then join the military. There are more restrictions or something extra you had to go through?
Green card. You had to have green
Just
card.
have a green card.
Green
and that-
card.
really?
Background search, of course. They had to do the background search.
I
to,
see.
You know, the clearance. I had to go
Right,
through
security clearance.
security, and a certain age. There's age cutoff. Everything, for some reason, everything I do in life has
Mm-hmm.
that deadline. If you're not doing it today, tomorrow there's no opportunity.
Okay.
So I ended up joining military after I was granted with my green card, and I didn't even think about it anymore. But I have a friend who serves in the military, and we went for his birthday for paintball. And we just had so much fun. He was wearing his like old uniform, and I was like, I wish I could join. He's like, you still can. I was like, I
Wow.
don't think so. I think I'm already over that age. And he said, no, you can join up to your 35.
Yes.
And so I went to see a recruiter, and cutoff age was 35, and that's when I signed my papers.
At 35?
At 35.
Wow.
And I wanted to join National Guard because I wanted to maintain my full-time job, but still give back to the military. It was an interesting decision because at that time I kind of had that dark place in a relationship where I didn't know which way I'm gonna go and what I'm gonna do with my life, and I thought that that clear in my head, being thrown in a boot camp, isolated, it would actually help me to see things from different perspective. So I call it was my like a rehab center. It was kind of like a rehab where you just don't have access to everything. You isolated completely. There's no
So it's
social
rehab
media.
from the relationship? Is that
Rehab
what you're saying?
from everything.
From that dark place.
From everything, because when you work for so long, so hard to achieve something and you achieve it, sometimes you step back and you look at it as like, what's next? What's next? And it's the same happening in bodybuilding.
It was pretty much you were giving your energy, but it was a reboot for you. So it was giving something in return, like everything comes full circle in life, right?
Right, because
So
what am I going to do with it?
Yeah, you told me about the discipline, right? I was involved in being in the military. As a matter of fact, I wanted to ask you, what were some of the biggest lessons that you got through this experience serving in the military?
I think the biggest lesson, it's really hard to pinpoint just one aspect, but I think the biggest lesson I got from that was that you have to be balanced and strong in not only in your body physically, but a mindset. That's when the mindset question, or just the word mindset, started coming up in my vocabulary, because I wasn't familiar with that before. And just it's just different type of environment.
Yeah, but and I think of you and you coming over. You have already a certain discipline and a strength that a lot of times with us, like when we join the military, we're going there to get disciplined. In your case, you guys come from a different, everything's rosy,
That's a
peachy
great point,
rosy
Linda.
here. So I would just think that you already have a strength and not, how could I say, babyfied or
Majority
you know what I
of,
mean?
yeah, majority
I'm sure
of
you saw that
soldiers,
when you
yeah.
saw the other the other people in-
soldiers, yes. Yeah, they were 18, 17.
Yeah.
So I was
definitely you had
I was
the
the
advantage
oldest.
of the maturity.
Yes.
And being a woman on top, which I think that it's even more, like it's more organization. I feel like there's more depth and wisdom at that age compared to 17, 18-year-old
Yes.
soldiers.
It taught me a lot of patience.
And what was the
A lot of
hardest
patience.
part of it?
I think not giving up on the goal. Like I had a goal in my mind because I was good pretty much at everything. When somebody who's 18 or 17 never made their bed before, I already know how to do it. So my uniform, my bed, my discipline was always on point. So I was looking for something where I was lacking. Where was I missing that I could improve? And I think the anxiety of failing and not succeeding did not allow me to give up. So like PT test, like I wasn't really good at running. So I made my goal to achieve 300, over 300 on my
On your
PT test,
PT test,
and be the best in the company. Because, for example, studying, we did have some tests. I knew that because of English, I probably won't be able to be the top of my class because of just the language barrier. But I knew that physically I could probably, and I, it was just a couple people in our unit that had a PT score over 300 because I wasn't looking for what's the minimum to pass. I was looking at what's the 100. So I didn't even know what was the minimum just to pass the
You wanted
push-ups,
to
the
excel at
sit-ups.
it,
I didn't even know that number. I never wanted to know it. I was looking at what is the top score, what
That
is
is
the
definitely
100.
the mentality of a winner. But talking about PT, let's tie in fitness into your life. How did it come into your life and how did you get attracted to that?
When I came back from entire training as a National Guard soldier, you go to train with your unit once a month, but you still have to take a PT test.
Okay.
So having that 300 mark and coming back into, again, freedom and normal life, right, where you're responsible for your own actions. We just become lazy naturally. We kind of relax, you eat whatever you want, you train whatever anytime you want. So I didn't want to have that excuse and fail and go below that scale that I already set for myself, because when you go to your station, to your unit when you come back, they have all your records. And I said to myself, I'm not dropping that standard. So standards, I think I wanted to make my dad proud. Because he was always exceeding and succeeding in his military career. I just wanted to make him proud, and I wanted my family to be proud of this accomplishment. Like, I'm carrying my family name. As the oldest daughter, my dad we don't have any brothers, so the last name, that legacy, I wanted to carry it and represent it well. I never been to the gym before. I never played any sports growing up, so there was no education on gym fitness whatsoever. And when I ended up starting to go to the gym, I had a friend who was competing in Bikini division, and I asked her for her help. I said, I want to stay in shape, but I also want to do something for me and see what else can I do in life. What else? Like, I was looking for weaknesses within myself, and I wanted to turn them into strengths, or just overcome something, or prove to myself or to people that were not nice to me back home that I'm not a loser. And I've had some different relationship with food, like most of people, and fitness and competing requires discipline with food. So I said to myself,
Were you an eater, or what do you mean?
Right, that's what I'm curious about, because as far as food, we have abundance of food over here. It's not like you guys can walk down the aisle.
It was
so
60
is that where
pounds.
it started? Because
It was 60 pounds.
That's what I was really curious about. Because I know when I went on to college, I gained weight. So I'm thinking to myself, you coming over from Ukraine and coming over to the United States with all of this abundance, so much variety. So you gained weight.
Oh, well, 60 pounds.
Wow.
60 pounds. I did lose it prior to go to military because otherwise I wouldn't be able to pass my test. But yes, that was 60 pounds. So when I came back in a better shape, I was determined to maintain that shape and get in a better shape because it made me feel better.
Yes.
That's when I discovered that exercise and nutrition actually makes you feel better.
Yes.
And I thought to myself, that should be common sense. You're a doctor, don't you know that? But sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't when you use food for comfort. So when I started exploring the competition, the fitness, the challenge.
How did you decide to transition? Because obviously there is one thing to train and lose weight and another thing to actually commit and get on stage. How did that go for you and what division did you do?
Because my friend was competing in bikini, so she offered me a program, and I started training for bikini. And I've always liked that feminine, tiny shape of a weaker woman. I think because I've always had to be the strong person in the family, and it was kind of like a burden. I was burned out of being strong all the time. I wanted to be that fragile version of me that needed protection.
Okay.
I think it's just psychological. It's not.
Yeah, of course, everything is psychological.
I would just assume you've always been strong. So
I've always been built that way, and I've always been strong. It's again, it's my dad's genetics. So when I did my first bikini competition, everybody was asking me how long I've been lifting weights. I'm like, 12 weeks. and it was for people, they didn't believe me, but it was true. But again, I just came out from training where for 6 months, every single day is push-ups, sit-ups. So you will have
great
something.
abs and great chest and shoulders.
How did that first show turn out? Was it a local show, obviously?
It was a local show. It was local show. It was actually right behind my house, so very convenient. And it was a bikini division the first time. I did place, I think I did masters, and I placed the third in masters division. I can't even remember, open, but it was so new.
It was amazing. You're
it was
amazing
so new.
master, by the way.
It was so new.
When
Thank
you're
you.
talking about your age, I'm like, you don't look.
Thank you.
Your
That
age.
was I looking at these pictures. It just makes me smile because
So that was your first competition?
That was the very first competition. Yes.
What was next, and where did you take it? Up to what level?
Second was also bikini. I think it was Baltimore. And after that, I kept getting judges' feedback that you're just not built for bikini. And I realized that I love lifting heavy. I realized that I really like lifting weights. And the judges were saying you just would have to lose a lot of upper body strength to fit the bikini profile. And I just started thinking, and I just gave in, and I went into figure.
Okay.
I transitioned into figure, and I believe I placed second or third in open.
In open.
And after that, I got a really good feedback from judges, and I continued competing in figure. Then once I switched to my current coach, Mike Davies, I just placed the first, and then I did 3 overalls the next year.
So you work with Mike Davies.
Yes.
So what was the hardest as far as like the diet? How was the diet different from like the beginning, going into bikini, and then the transition of bikini into figure? Because the figure physique, you require to see the abs, to see separation and more conditioning. Was there...
Timing, I needed a little bit more time to get into that mindset first, because in fitness, when I started, I realized that everything is about mindset. It wasn't the weights and the gym and cardio. It wasn't never an issue for me. I was at the gym at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I could stay there for 3-4 hours. But staying on a meal plan and understanding that the staying on a diet, that key is the success to everything. That took some time to understand.
Because it takes a lot of patience.
Yes.
to just, you have the discipline, but the patience of allowing the diet to do what it's going to do and to do what Mike Davies is asking you to do and to stay consistent with that.
She did it amazing, Linda, because guess what? Guess what she did in 2020?
I was in prep the whole year since January in 2020.
All the way through Orlando.
You were in prep?
Yeah, I was in prep. We decided to, after I did 3 overalls, my coach said, okay, you probably ready to try a national level competition. And I was terrified because once you learn criteria, once you know what judges are looking for and how you're supposed to look, you just have to, if you're really serious about what you do, you can't, again, I couldn't drop the ball. It was the same as coming out from military. I couldn't drop the standard below 300. So I was thinking, okay, I did this 3 overalls, the first place. What if I go to nationals and I don't even get second call out? That anxiety, that fear of failing, the expectations, it was a lot of pressure. But in 2020, I said, okay, let me choose a show. COVID happened, show canceled.
Wow.
Let me choose next show, canceled. So I stayed in prep the entire year waiting for that opportunity to do a show, and we ran out of shows.
Okay.
The only show was left was the Amateur Olympia. And I remember telling my coach, there's no way I will ever be competitive on Olympia stage. Just the word Olympia was, to me, it was like, I don't even know how to explain it, just because I've been to Olympia. Yeah. I've seen the athletes, and I'm like, I've seen the presentations, I've seen the stage, and I was terrified.
Yes.
And my husband.
That's what first thing I was thinking of is Tony.
Yes.
So being married to an expediter, I had the expediter help. How does it? Because Tony is serious. He's no joke. He doesn't play around. So.
Oh, he's a drill sergeant.
Yes, he's a drill sergeant.
He was a drill sergeant. Yes, in the Army he was a drill sergeant.
I know.
That's why you work so good together.
That's one of the things that really we connected, because it's just so easy for us to communicate.
We have the same values.
The same values. Yeah. The same values. The same mindset, and it doesn't even feel like we're from different countries or different upbringings. It doesn't feel that way.
Wow.
Because when I first started helping backstage with trophy presenting, it was so easy.
Yeah.
I would look at him and I knew exactly, and we were just friends at that time.
Okay.
I would look at him on the other side and I knew exactly what needs to be done on stage.
Yeah.
And it was very refreshing for him to...
Definitely the same language. Yeah.
Yes, there was just
but
the
how
same.
did the 2020, you didn't tell us, the Olympia, how did it end?
So when he was going to expedite, and I said, I'm just going to go with you. I don't know if I will compete, but I'm just going to go with you.
Yeah.
But I'll stay in prep. So I remember he said, no matter what happens, if you can get in the top 15 you can, for your first, not just national level, it's international level show.
That's right.
We'll be happy with that result. So just don't stress. And I remember I was reading a book at that time. My friend recommended Tim Grover, Relentless, because the last 3 weeks from before the show, they become very mentally challenging. So you have to feed that mindset, that your mindset can feed your body. And I remember I was backstage at the show, and I was hiding behind the mirrors. They had to go and find me because I was just terrified. I was terrified.
And one of the biggest pet peeves as far as expediting,
missing competitors.
Missing competitors. So you were missing.
Missing competitors. I mean, I knew the girls were lined up, but I could hear them calling my number. And
I'm holding my breath here.
Yes.
How did you?
So you could hear them calling your number, and you still were like.
Well, I was in the lineup already, but I was just anxious until I stepped on stage. Once I stepped on stage, something happened. The nerves were gone.
Wow.
Because I could see, just something happened. It's like, because I was happy a week before the show, I did my body composition and I was at the body fat percentage that I could not achieve in 4 years.
Okay.
So that was the breakthrough for me, where I achieved my desired physique even before the competition. And that's when I said that I'm happy no matter what I place or what I get, because I achieved my goal. And it happened that judges, they thought that I deserve and work hard to earn the pro card, and I earned it.
We can see the medals over here. You won the overall in figure, right?
It was I did the masters overall.
Okay.
So the first place in masters, and then the top 3 from open division were earned
Great
pro card.
conditioning, nice
Great condition.
shoulders.
I mean, that is quite
Very
amazing
nice
for somebody who's going to be, I'm just going to tag along for your job, and then I'm actually going to jump on stage and win this whole show and get my medals and turn pro. And we're going to move on with more after this commercial break. So coming back to the whole story, Victoria, of course, it's very interesting because, like nowadays we're going through this whole world crisis situation in Ukraine, which is extremely unfortunate with the war. So I know that you still had family there. And I remember that I saw one of your posts, which actually triggered my interest because you were expressing pretty much their position as a position to what was happening in Ukraine, what is happening in Ukraine. So we would like to know through your family, through their eyes, through their perception, what is actually happening there and what is the general consensus in Ukraine?
Well, like any war is a tragedy. It's a lot of sorrow, it's a lot of pain, and I don't know any single person that would support a war or genocide or mass killing. It's not normal, it's not natural for our society nowadays. It's, it's been like that years ago, and it feels like we're coming back to that barbarian approach to a peaceful country that just wants to be free. So experiencing that tragedy from here is very difficult because you start feeling like the survival guilt. I was telling Tony, I'm gonna pack and go and do, and he's like, and do what? I said, I don't know. I need to do something. No one wants to be in a position where your neighbor coming over and saying, you no longer live here.
Sure.
You have no rights. Let me take everything away from you. You need to do what we want you to do. Once you experience freedom, how can you go back to being prisoner again? So
that's how it is perceived.
That's an interesting concept too that you just said, your neighbor, because Ukraine and Russia. So do you feel like, because it's the same people,
the
right?
same people, yes.
And so that would be like Alabama fighting with Mississippi, or from one state crossing.
That's what I've been kind of sharing with people. I've been getting so many messages and phone calls from people that don't even know me, asking that they know I'm from Ukraine, but they ask me, I said, just imagine your next door neighbor or next door state comes and just start bombing you. It's not just saying, hey, I'm gonna live in your house. Right. It's just I'm gonna destroy your house, your life, and your family, but for what? There is no explanation. There's enough place for everybody.
Because people have family in both places, right? There's family, like
families in both places.
In both places, which that's really
married to each other.
What is the consensus? Like, what are the people? What is the explanation the people in Ukraine receive for this invasion?
From my understanding, it's just the desire of power and control.
Yeah,
it's to control mindset, control freedom of speech, control free will, control choices. The benefits, only Only the president of Russia knows what benefits he's going to gain from destroying,
And the excuse
wiping out.
is-
Yeah, and we
What is
see
their
no benefit
excuse?
here in the United States. We see no benefits, and it's confusing.
It is very
actually.
confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yes.
It's like picking a fight, or being a bully, just for some reason. Like, I'm bored. Let me just pick a fight, because I don't think I've heard an explanation as to why war.
Well, the way the government of Russia presents it is that we have Nazis in our country, which I've never heard of such thing, and I've been asking all my friends, because all my childhood everything is there. So I'm like, well, do we have anything? They're like, no, we really don't. We have no understanding why this is happening to us. Why are we being wiped out?
Yeah, so
Literally
have you
wiped out.
noticed, has there been a change in communication? Because you still have family and relatives that live there. Has there been any type of change as far as your ability to still communicate with them?
Some of my family, they're kind of scattered.
Okay.
One of my cousins, his house was completely destroyed with a bomb. He is unable to leave the country, but he was able to send his wife and kids to Belarus, to his mom.
Yes.
But he has no place to live. And in our countries, Alina, I'm sure you remember, there's no insurance for your house.
That's true.
Wow.
There's no insurance. You buy one place and you die in that place. There is no home insurance. There is nothing like that available. So when people lose everything, it literally means everything. And it's probably the hardest part to observe from here. And I was asking myself, why am I here? Why am I surviving this? Why am I, because a lot of people, even my mom was getting messages that, oh, it's good for you in Ukraine. You're in America now. We're the ones that are struggling here. But it just becomes from that anger to accusations of why other people survive.
Yeah.
And so then you go through guilt. It's just so much, so many
your
emotions.
immediate family, your mother and father, did they come in the United States before, or did they come during this war?
My mom has been here for a little bit over 8 months.
Okay.
My sister has 2 boys, and she's helping her because she's working. So she was helping her with the boys, and my dad was visiting. But on February 20th, he went back home because we have a dog and a cat and a house. And 4 days later, war started.
Oh.
And it took us 5 days to evacuate him from
So you got
Ukraine.
him back?
We were able to move him to Poland, but those 5 days were the most difficult days in our lives.
So you moved him to Poland?
We were able to guide him to Poland. He took 2 women and 2 kids with him to evacuate them, to help, because they couldn't drive.
So he drove.
He drove them and himself. From border to border, we were guiding them from, my sister managed to find a satellite or the map to see where was the lines, where the lines were unimaginable.
And you did this from the United States to guide them.
Because I imagine everybody
back to
was
Poland. That's
was
just
running away.
amazing.
Walking, running.
What can we do over here? What would you suggest? I mean, when I see this, I think donate money. What can we do in the U.S. to help?
Everybody's so far been so helpful, supportive, understanding. People are very compassionate. It's very refreshing to even being able to receive that much help emotionally, because it is a tragedy. And I, when people ask me to compare it, it's 9/11 10 times worse. That's how it feels. It's very painful. A lot of people are donating. My sister and I, we started collecting funds. And the way we distribute funds, we send them directly to the people that actually need in the war zone, because you can't get there. If you are like a Red Cross, if you are the bigger organizations of volunteers, they go to Poland and then they go to bigger cities where they're not actually bombing, but we have families, friends, and people from church that we're able to transfer money. And they go buy food and they deliver food to people, the elderly that stayed behind, the kids. The orphanage that I used to work at was evacuated to Poland. So and the kids needed clothes. They were all sick from traveling. There's 85 kids, orphans, that had to be evacuated with a few adults to help. So we were able to actually send funds directly.
So this was the original orphanage that you...
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I'm still in touch with the director. She retired, but we immediately reached out to them because back home we're very tight. Communities are very tight. We stand up for each other. We have each other's back, and once we're friends for life. It's not just something general. I know if you need something, no, I'll be there. Like it's just that type of. It's like we always say, we'll give you the last shirt from the back. It's just not a saying. It's exactly what we do.
So when was the last time you had the opportunity to visit?
About 9 years ago.
Okay.
Wow, that's a long time.
About 9 years ago. Yes.
It's beautiful, this sense of community and help, and sometimes it's the only solace, the only reason that you can calm your heart when you know that people actually stand by each other in times when they actually need it.
Yes.
So it's how do you see this developing? What do you think will happen?
It all depends how long we can withstand that force. I honestly don't think this will end very soon unless some major intervention happens. But knowing that is already acceptable and allowed, it's going to continue until it's no longer allowed. That's my personal perspective on things. I'm not a politician by any means, but for me, it's you only do what you're allowed to do, and it's like a child. When you're raising a child, the child will do exactly what you allow a child to do. So
you guys are amazing fighters. I mean, I was impressed with the fact that it's just regular citizens out there fighting.
Yes,
because I visualize Russia. You think of them with this powerful army and with all these tools and weapons. But it's impressive because this has been going on for how long now?
Since February 24.
Yeah.
That's actually the event, the war that now worldwide known, but things been going on for decades prior. Decades, but it wasn't hidden. Now everybody knows, the world knows, there's nowhere to hide. So the exposure, if I had to find an explanation to why this is happening, is the only explanation from my perspective is the world had to know, and the sacrifice that's being made, it is made because the world has to know what one man is capable of.
Well, it is a beautiful position because at the same time it accepts the role that you have, which is of course you are a victim in this whole situation, and it's not only a victim, you are a martyr. The country is a martyr in this situation that you present, where we're going to take all the heat so the world can see what this person actually can do, right? But I want to end this on a happier note. Thank you for sharing all this heart-moving experience with us. I just want to go back through all of your life, because when I see everything that you've told us so far, and mind you, you're only 41, right? If I can say that in front of the camera. There is a certain depth and wisdom within you, right? So I'm always fascinated, where does it come from? Because when I look in everything you told us, you always pushed for to be the best. It was not, can I survive? It was, can I thrive? So if you were to summarize the drive force behind all your life, the key element in your mindset to bring you where you are at this successful point, what would that be?
My main goal in life is always serving others. And if your cup is empty, if your plate is empty, you can't feed others. You can't, my favorite expression is, you can't sell a dream looking like a nightmare, right? So, and if you are accomplished and balanced, that's when you have something to offer to others. Because if you constantly, if you're not self-aware of things that you need to improve on, then you constantly will be pull in those resources from other people to satisfy your own insecurities. We all have insecurities, but the main idea is to what do you do with it? What are your goal in life? People that you surround yourself with? What is it that you learn in every day to be able to give and make somebody's life better? And I've always wanted to make somebody's life better, and I could say I'm a people pleaser, and it was at some point it was actually not beneficial for me, because
you need balance there too.
Yes, because it was doing occasional harm emotionally and mentally to me. But once I started working towards mindset and improving it, I realized that when people do certain things, they don't do it because of me. They do it because of their own insecurities. That was a revelation for me. It was a revelation where I'm like, has nothing to do with me. I'm going to keep giving. I'm going to keep giving.
Right.
You either receive it or you don't. And it just became life-changing. It really opened up more opportunities for
I
me.
really love
Yes,
this
great
concept.
point.
Self-betterment to serve others in a better way and better the people around in the society. It's,
Yes, we can't control people, places, or things.
Yes.
That's very beautiful, and I really want to thank you for sharing yourself so genuinely and so openly with us and our viewers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate being here. It's an honor. It's an honor to sit in one room with legends, with people that I admire and motivate me. And every time I get opportunity to see you both, it's an honor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you on behalf of
great
our
opportunity.
viewers who will, I'm sure they're going to be very motivated by your story. And we wish you nothing but the best in everything you do. We're looking forward to see your pro debut and all of the other achievements. And in the meantime, you guys stay close and catch us on our next episode of Femme Flex Friday.